Hi, I'm Matt Comic Guy, and this is Timeline Test FNAF Part 7 covering Help Wanted. Yes, the VR spirits. Now I have a couple of questions that are answered, but first I want to understand you that this happens a lot, and I want to understand, what happens. And I want to start by asking who is Tape Girl and what is her real name? Well, I believe that I have answered that. Notice how Tape Girl sounds a bit different than all the other characters we have before the game was released. Notice that, she is not as. She, it's not like the other characters that give you information about the Five Nights at Freddy's series. At least they were explained, what type of character they are. But Tape Girl, is not like the others. She is not like Phone Guy or Phone Dude or Hand Unit. The entire voice that told you about this game. By the way, I explained a little bit about him, of who he is, a bit later. But anyways, notice how Tape Girl, is, is aware of the story of Help Wanted. The only one who's aware of the story in the games is Fungi. Just like Fungi, her awareness, comes clear and how to to be a guide. But this time, not to survive against the animatronics. No. These tapes, for some reason, help unleash Glitchtrap, aka another form of William Afton. So why am I telling you this to help me solve who Tape Girl is, and why she would be, why would that be important to the series? Well, I actually believe she actually is, gonna that there actually is gonna be a new character he is actually gonna be the same character as a new character in the Security Brutes DLC, and that new character will introduce in the next main game in the series. Why I say that? Well, I believe that this new character, I believe that Tape Girl has to be a character who is a clone, who I believe will be later on revealed to be the same person, character who I believe will be later revealed to be haunting the JJ animatronic way back in FNAF 2. Why I believe that? Well, I believe that this Jessica Alexson character that I just, thought up will actually be a new character in the series and actually be the real identity of who is actually haunting the JJ Strike, as well as the actual identity of her being a clone of that same character. And I believe that same clone is gonna be a lot more different once it becomes the player in the DLC. And I believe she was already been set up before in of course FNAF free minigames. I believe that Scott Cawthon already set her up as being a newer character in the next main game in the series, as well as a DLC of Security Breach, and her being set up as the player character in the FNAF free minigame. And that game has to be, one where one game where in the Stage of One minigame. Now you remember, you see this 8-bit, ghost looking character. Well, if I tell you that actually is a setup character for the next mainline game in the series, and will be the main player in the Security Breach DLC. A clone who actually is the same character who might be revealed to be haunting the JJ animatronic. Why would I say this? Well, think about it. We already seen, a long path of things being set up in earlier titles before. Remember how FNAF 2, remember how FNAF 1, and how we never figure out who Fungi is? And then much later, they try to understand, a bit later, FNAF 3, that his messages were pre-recorded way back in the Fredbear's Family Diary days. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying we have seen stuff like this in the series before. Remember in early titles of FNAF 2 when William Afton was just referred to as the purple guy because we didn't know who his real name was until the Silver Rise book, when we confirmed his name was William Afton and he had a business partner named Henry. Yeah. So it can happen when scenes are set up in early titles but are not revealed to us until a bit much later. So it can happen. So this theory of mine cannot be impossible. And also, speaking of unanswered questions, I have this question of what is going on here. Why is William Afton continuing on, surviving against fires and having a different form each time he survives against a thing that would easily kill him many times over? He was spring locked, he was burned, fired 3 times already. Once, was already gonna kill him off already. The other time was definitely for sure. And the third time in the next game, Security Breach, definitely, hopefully, will kill him off for sure. But then he appears in different forms. Well, I believe that he, has an audio chip inside him, and that was the same thing that bring in the minder of Nightmare, who I believe became Nightmare because of the terrible experiment done by an unknown character never seen the series yet. Maybe not yet. That is my reason of why in this game William Afton survived against the FNAF 6 fire. Because there's no other thing that understands why he'd take a form, uh, why he survived against the FNAF 6 and Fire and Pizzeria Simulator, and why he's keep calling back in different forms. To me, it has to do with some kind of audio chip that is protected by his brain, so he wouldn't, completely, so he would be, still moving and breathing, even though he's already been dead, almost would have been killed off entirely multiple times. But that's the unanswered questions I have for Help Wanted. Next up, Part 8, Carbon Security Breach.